We can hug it out. You'll be okay. This is why this man is great, right?
Thank you. This is going to get really uncomfortable after a while. Is this the way you do this?
And I like to dominate you by being up at this podium, so have a seat.
Promises. Is it too late for photo taking? Have we already done that?
You know what? No more flash photography, and then in the end, I'm sure Mr. Spiner will give everyone a great photo op. But I'm sure you guys have tons of questions, right?
All right. You know what? Should I sit down? I think
You can sit down. I said that I'm in the domineering position, so sit down. That's what I said. You got to learn to listen to me.
I listened. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, this is going to be a fun hour.
Can you see me over there? Oh, no.
You guys are like wrapped all the way around. They can see my feet pretty well.
Well, maybe we should trade places.
If you guys feel the need to relocate, please do. In the meantime,
I could move down one.
you can move down if you want.
Would that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it all works for
Do you
me.
think sound can get that together?
I think they can. If not, I'll just talk for a while. Independence Day, Resurgence. It's coming out next Friday. I'm so excited, and you're in it, which is also exciting because you were actually killed by an alien at the end of the other Independence Day, or so we thought.
I'm sorry, Claire. They didn't tell me before I came out. You're a doctor, no doubt.
I am. What can you tell us? How did this happen? What did you think you were dead? Let's just talk about Independence Day.
All right. Can you see me when I'm talking to Claire over here? Yeah.
You can talk to everyone and me.
Can you see me now? Because Claire, I did not think I was dead. I thought, no, I am not dead. There's no way. If there's a sequel, I'm coming back. And
I mean, coma.
coma. Well, I'll tell you what.
Coma.
Exactly. Coma. Spoiler. Hey, Claire, do you know the dreaded Adam Baldwin?
I do.
Yeah.
I know him very well.
Adam Baldwin was playing the military guy who, when I hit the ground, he came over, he picked me up, he put his fingers on my neck. He didn't even put him in the right place. You know?
Yeah.
And he got off, he came off. Robert Loggia, who played the general in the first film, said to him, "Why did you put your fingers on his neck?" And he said, "Well, I saw it in the movies once." And so no, I did not think I was dead. Clearly I was badly shaken up. And so I'm back. Thank you. And no one is happier about it than I.
Well, it was like one of the best characters, so I'm sure everyone is very excited that you're back. And to see what incapacity, we are also excited, right, guys? Especially now that your brain has been consumed by an alien, because, you know, you got to think you'll be useful. You've got firsthand knowledge of how to fight these guys.
We're killing it over there. Yeah, well, I do have a firsthand knowledge of the aliens, I think, in that I was sort of inhabited by them, platonically, of course. And, yeah.
Yeah. All right, there's too many spoilers. I get it. You can't say anything. But let me ask you this. How has 20 years of technology changed from the first movie to this movie? What has, you know, evolved?
What has changed? So you too have been asleep for 20 years. No,
Nice.
Somebody, they're signing right here. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Yeah, that's not what I said. You know, actually, I'm really glad you're here. Seriously, this is wonderful. How has technology changed in 20 years? Well, not exactly sure. Hold on for a minute, will you? Here's the thing. Everything has changed, but for Dr. Oken, nothing has changed. But then that's not so different for him because nothing had changed from the 60s. And so he's still kind of stuck in time in his own time.
Well, I'm super excited for the movie. Congrats. I'm sure it's going to do amazing in the box office.
I hope so. Thank you.
Let's talk about Next Gen. You want to?
What's that?
Let's talk about the Next Generation.
Next Generation?
That little show that you were on.
Are you having as much trouble hearing me as I am hearing?
Yes, that's why I asked.
Because I'm saying some wonderful stuff over here.
I mean, I'm just like pretending to laugh, basically.
Exactly. Well, perhaps I should do the same.
You could, except I have questions for you. That's the difference in our roles.
Oh, okay.
Next Generation.
Yes, Next Generation. I remember.
How did it come about? Were you an original series fan? And when you got the call to come in and meet with Gene, what was that sort of process like before the show actually got off on its feet?
Who is that?
I don't know.
Who is it? Oh. That sort of goes without saying, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe we should all listen to Garrett. Okay, in answer to your question, Claire, I was a young actor, well, not that young, but I was in Hollywood, and I had an agent, and he said there's a new Star Trek series that they're going to do, and wanted to read the script and see if there's anything that's interesting to you. So I read the script. I said, I think maybe this android character could be interesting. So he sent me to meet Junie Lowry, who was the casting agent, director on the film, on the series. And I read for her, and she said, well, I think that's pretty good. Maybe Gene Roddenberry should see you, maybe the producers. So I said, okay. And I got ready to go in. I went to Paramount to audition. I wasn't sure. I asked the question, do they want it to be more kind of sort of like a person or like a robot? And she said, well, I'm not sure. Let me go in. And when I got there, she said, let me go in and find out. So she went into the room with all the producers. This is Junie. And she came back out and she said, I had worked on it as kind of a person. And she came back out and she said, no, they want him to be like a robot. And I said, I think I'm going to pass. And she said, no, don't pass. Just hold on a minute. So she went back in and she came back out and she said, okay, they said you can do it the way you want to do it, but they're not sure. They may want you to read for Riker instead. And, seriously. And I said, Riker? I don't want to play Riker. So I said, I'm gonna pass. And she said, no, don't pass. Just a minute. And she went back in and she came out and she said, okay, just go in and do whatever you want to do. So I went in and I auditioned, and I auditioned for the director, who was a gentleman by the name of Corey Allen, wonderful guy. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Rebel Without a Cause, great James Dean movie. But Corey Allen was an actor in that movie, and he's the guy who drag races with James Dean and gets his coat sleeve stuck on the door handle and goes over a cliff. But terrific guy, great actor, and really nice guy. But anyway, so I had about 6 auditions after that. I auditioned for Gene. When they finally called me and they said, okay, we want you to do the part, I went in and met Gene again, and he said, do you mind changing your appearance? And I said, I'm thinking it's gonna be ears or something, right? And I said, no, that's fine. So he said, well, we're gonna have you be a different hue, a different color. I said, all right. So we did this series of makeup tests where I was about 35 different colors. Everything from battleship gray to bubblegum pink. And we put them all on a reel to show Gene. And we went into his office, they put the reel on, the first one came up, and he went, okay, that's fine. I went through 35 makeup changes and different colors, and the first one was fine. But then I said to him, Gene, really think about it. I said, you know, I don't know if I need to be a different color. I said, I think I can act this role without changing my color, and I think I can make it convincing. And I said, plus, in the 20th century, don't you think, or 24th century, don't you think they would have figured out how to make skin for these androids? And he said, well, what makes you think that what you have isn't better than skin? And I thought, well, that's why you're Gene Roddenberry. And I'm just, and so then, you know, the rest is, as they say, history. But I'll tell you one more quick story if it's okay.
It is.
Thank you, Claire. Okay with you, Garrett? I said, we went to the first read-through of the script was at the Sheraton Hotel in Hollywood. And we met in a big room and had a long table. Gene was at the head of the table, and we were all around the table. And I thought at that point, and in every audition, by the way, I was called Data. And that's what I thought the character's name was. I thought it was Data. And we got to, Patrick Stewart started talking. He started reading, and he says, so, Data. What? I said, wait a minute. Is it data or data? And Gene said, well, look, I'm going to establish a rule right now. Whoever says it first, that's what it's going to be. And consequently, I became Data. And I kind of think in a lot of ways that the word DATA changed in the vernacular. I think data was much more popular back then, but it became Data because of himself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people view Data as the comic relief in the series. Mm-hmm. Did you, going in, know that that would be your role?
I felt it would. I felt that was the potential for the character, was to be the comic relief. It became way more than that because Data sort of represented just the entire exploration of the human condition. There was a director in maybe the third episode of the series who said to me, if this show runs 6 or 7 years, you are going to be miserable because you don't have any emotion, you don't get to express anything. And I thought, you know what, I don't think that's going to happen. And in a lot of ways, the exact opposite occurred, and I was allowed to play so many different things and to try on the different clothes of different kinds of humanity and try out every emotion and try to understand it all. And it became a much more dimensional and complex role than even I thought it would be.
And I've heard that the role was actually born from a failed pilot that Gene did called Quester.
Right.
Did
I don't know. Can I just say one thing real quickly?
Wait. Did you just say, can I say one thing?
May I say?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For some weird reason, they overlapped our panels. So there are going to be people coming into your panel now. Don't get mad at them thinking they're extremely late. They just got out of my panel. And I don't know why they would interlap to Star Trek. What the heck? Right? Now,
I mean, you know, they'll be coming in now
Yeah,
because they
they're
were in
gonna
your,
trickle
you
in.
know, and will there be a feeling in them that they've wasted their time prior to coming in?
You'll have to make up for that.
I knew this abuse would happen to me, but I still came in for it anyway. I just, but the fact that, here's one thing I always tell people. I say that Kim, my character, was the operations and communications officer. There was an operations officer on TNG, which was Data, your character,
okay.
but no communications officer. On the original series, there was communications officer, Uhura, but no operations officer. So at all cons, I always say that Ensign Kim is the love child of Data and Uhura.
It works.
Okay. Well, I'm beyond proud.
I love you.
Thank you.
It's good seeing you, sir.
You
Sorry
too.
to interrupt. I
No
just wanna
worries.
say, don't be mad at people.
Bye, Garrett. So, yes.
I don't know him.
Good.
No,
No one does.
no one really does.
I'm kidding, guys.
No,
it's a
no.
Star Trek panel.
Come on.
Okay, Quester, real quick.
Yes,
Did Gene
Quester.
talk about Quester or
he-
introduce you to the, character through that show at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
He didn't even mention it to me, but I did find out about it. It was a failed pilot that starred Robert Foxworth, wonderful actor who, I'm from Houston, Texas, and so is Robert. And I just met his son recently, Bo.
Huh,
Yeah.
very nice. Okay, great.
I met him at a screening of a movie that was made by Rene Auberjonois' son, Remy. Fantastic movie that stars Remy's wife, who is Renee's daughter-in-law, and Renee's in the movie too. It's called Bloodline? Blood? What is it? You don't know.
Is it
Blood, does anybody know? Bloodline.
Bloodline?
I saw it the other night. It's really excellent. He did a really great job. And I have this history with Renee because I replaced Renee on Broadway in Big River. And so anyway, I just wanted to throw that in.
It's a good little piece of trivia.
You know what? Here's
like
the
that.
question. In what Broadway show did Brent Spiner replace Rene Auberjonois?
I don't know.
You don't know. Big River, exactly.
River. Good one.
Wow.
All
there should
right.
be prizes for the audience here. Yeah.
Let's take some questions. Raise your hand. You guys know the drill. One of the Comic-Con moderators will come to you, and while they are getting the first question ready, other than being asked, is data anatomically
What did
correct?
you just say?
What is the number one question you get?
The number one question I get, I guess, is, are you single?
That's so interesting. Love it. Are you single?
No.
No?
No.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
First, I want to say thank you so much for coming. And I'll make this quick. I was at CL EmeraldCon this year, and it's the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and we're getting a sort of so-so celebration, and no Star Trek guest at all. But my question is, I thought you were great as Data's grandfather on that two-part Enterprise episode, and I would love to hear about that.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Wait, no, I think you're holding the mic too close to it.
There's a two-part episode
On
where
Star Trek Enterprise.
you played Data's grandfather.
Well, he wasn't actually his grandfather. He was a relative in some way.
A descendant. Or,
Yeah, he was an ancestor of his. But was there a question in there?
I would just love to hear any stories about reading the script or shooting the episode or anything like that.
Shooting the episode of well, I had it was a 3-part episode on Enterprise, and one of the parts was directed by LeVar Burton. So it was, yeah. You may know him from Reading Rainbow. But it was, I had a great time. I knew Scott a little bit, Scott Bakula, before that, and so we had a really good time doing it. I had a blast, yeah. And
Thank
I am
you.
still available to play that role. Again,
Any descendant
any...
or ancestor
Yeah.
or basically any.
Listen, I'd be available to play your descendants if...
It works.
yeah,
Let's do it.
all right.
Hey, there's a new series in 2017, I heard.
There is supposed to be, and I think we would both be terrific on it.
I agree. I concur. Yes.
Okay. this is my major question. I've been a big fan of Data since I was probably about 2 years old because I always thought it was funny and nice and very clever. But over the course of the Next Generation, just timeline, I guess, for a better word, you played Lore, Data, and B4. And where did you come up with the ideas for just the way they interact and how different they are in just terms of their creation?
Well, I didn't come up with Laura. That was, or Data. That was Gene Roddenberry completely, because he wrote the episode Data Lore. I came up, well, I co-wrote the story for Nemesis, a big audience favorite. With John Logan, who wrote the, and Rick Berman, but John Logan, who wrote the script, was one of the #1 screenwriter in the world, probably. He wrote Skyfall, he wrote Hugo, he wrote Gladiator, he wrote The Aviator. He has a series on Showtime called Penny Dreadful, in which he's written every word. So I felt that we were in pretty good hands with John Logan writing the script. He was the only Academy Award nominee we'd ever had writing a Star Trek script. And he and I came up with B4 because we wanted, well, actually, we were originally, I think, in our first draft, he was called B9. But then I think there was Lost in Space, I think it was called B9. So we changed it to B4. And that is how it happened.
I have a question in the mezzanine.
Okay.
Is there a mezzanine? Oh, yeah.
Of all of the roles that you've ever done, what was the most influential or your favorite role that you, and why?
Well, I mean, obviously, Data and the whole Star Trek oeuvre afforded me amazing opportunities, and certainly I spent more hours doing all of that than anything else I've ever done. There's a few others, a couple of others. Maybe my favorite thing, my favorite role on film that I ever did was in a movie called Out to Sea. So glad you had the chance to see it. But I'll tell you what, it was, it starred Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, who were heroes of mine. And I got to be in a movie with them, and I had a great part. And got to work with both of them. I got to work with, in that movie, with Donald O'Connor and Elaine Stritch and Diane Cannon and just so many people. And it was, every day I would go to work and I would think, I get to see Jack and Walter today and hang out with those guys. And that was a remarkable experience. Wonderful people, both of them. I got very close to Walter. We became really good friends. Jack and I used to live around the corner from each other, so we would see each other walking our dogs. I remember a story that Walter told me. I'll tell this really quickly because I thought it was a pretty good story. And you may have to be in show business to get this story because I've told it before and gotten no response whatsoever. But it's either you have to be in show business or I didn't tell it very well. But apparently, and Jack told me this story, he said that he was doing a movie called The April Fools, I think was the name of the movie, and it starred Jack and Geneviève Bujold or somebody. I don't know who else was in it with him, but he was really uncertain if it was good or bad, so he invited Walter to come to the premiere of the movie. And Walter came and watched the movie ended, and everybody's leaving, and Jack comes up to Walter and he says, "What did you think?" And Walter said, "Can you get out of it?" That was who those guys were.
At what point filming Next Gen did you realize, like, you know, because original series, obviously it did well, but it was canceled, then it came back on, it had 3 seasons. At what point did you realize, like, this is taking off in a really different way and has a different sort of success than the original series?
You know what I think, for me, and I'm not sure everybody would agree with me, but the first season was sort of iffy. I think we had a few good episodes the first season. The Big Goodbye, I thought we got a Peabody Award for The Big Goodbye, so I thought it was a really wonderfully done episode. And there were a few others, but then there were some really bad ones in the first year, and we wore some really silly costumes. But in the hiatus between the first season and the second season, I got a phone call from Rick Berman, who was producing, and he said, "We have a new cast member on the show next season who is a big star." And I went, "Wow, who is it?" And he said, "Well, guess." And I went, "How can I guess? Male or female?" He says, "I'm not going to tell you." And I said, "Well, give me a clue." And he says, "Well, the only clue I can think of is Jewish." And I'm thinking, well, it's got to be Judd Hirsch. And he says, "No, it's Whoopi Goldberg." And I really think there was something about Whoopi being on the show, even though she was on every episode, it legitimized us in a way that I think, to the general audience, not just to serious Trek fans, but to the general audience, that was while she was a big movie star, and she did Ghost while we were doing the series, and won an Oscar for it. And so I think it changed everything. All of a sudden, we were a series that had a big movie star on the show, too. And I think that was the big difference.
And what's amazing about that is she actually approached the
Yeah.
team to be on the show. She was a huge fan.
Yeah, she called and said, "I want to be on the show." And Rick said, "Well, we'll write an episode for you." And she said, "No, I don't think you understand. I want to be on the show." And so they built a set for her, 10 forward. 10 forward? Yeah. It did not exist in the first season. It only came with Whoopi. Yeah.
That's amazing.
She brought it with her.
All right, yes, hi.
Can you tell me what your best memory is of playing the role of Puck in Gargoyles?
Did I play Puck in Gargoyles? I think this moment right now is my best memory of it.
Thank you for providing that memory.
Thank you so much. Wow. Sometimes you do things you don't even know you did.
And now you just made his best memory of the con.
Well, very good. Thank you so much. No, that was a really fun show to be on. I wish, remember Gargoyles, right? It was created by a wonderful, smart, inventive guy named Greg Weisman, and he's done many other shows since then, including Star Wars Rebels, which I had a role in. And why they never made a Gargoyles movie, I don't get. What? Do you work for Disney?
The inside scoop.
Yeah. Are they working on one? Is Puck in it?
He should be, right, guys?
There really should be a Gargoyles movie. It'd be totally cool.
All right, yes, let's go over here. Hi.
Hello. By the way, you look way more handsome in person, but just had to let that out
In
there.
person, I
Oh,
do?
yes.
Oh, thank you so much. I better than here? Yeah, I'm a little too big here. It's unforgiving, that.
I was going to ask, what was your favorite aspect of playing Data, and also, what was your favorite episode to record?
Well, my favorite aspect of doing this series was just hanging out with my castmates. We had so much fun. We really did. It was, Patrick said at the time that he didn't think he would ever have another job where he laughed all day, every day. And he may have on Blunt Talk, but up until that point, he hadn't experienced that, neither had I. And we just all got along so well and had so much fun, and everybody was funny. And so it was always just a thrill to go to work. And what was my favorite episode? You know what? I'll be honest with you. To me, it felt like we did one long episode that took 7 years to make. Because, we would finish an episode at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and start another one, 10 minutes later. And so because I didn't watch them, I watched a few at the beginning and that was it. It just, I don't have that sense of there was this episode and that episode, and I mean, I remember moments, just like I do gargoyles. Yeah.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll go over here.
Are you planning on coming out with a new album after Old Yellow Eyes?
I haven't. I came out with another album after Old Yellow Eyes. Did you never hear Dreamland? Oh, Dreamland's so much better than Old Yellow Eyes. It really is, because it's a concept album. It's it's a story. We like to call it a musical movie of the mind, because it really kind of stimulates your imagination. There's dialogue in it. I sing with this woman who is brilliant. Her name is Maud Maggart. She's a fantastic singer. Every other male role is played by Mark Hamill, who's a great voice actor. He also did a little sci-fi movie or two, but that, no, I'm probably prouder of Dreamland than almost anything I ever did, because, you know, we invented it. And so in answer to your question, though, am I planning to do another one? I'm waiting until I feel like losing a whole bunch more money.
Well, next year is the 20th anniversary of TNG, so maybe it would balance out.
It's the 30th anniversary.
Or 30th, yeah.
So maybe I should lose some money next year? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it maybe will balance out, you know?
Well, it might.
Yeah.
It might.
I'm throwing it out there.
Well, we'll see. Twist my arm.
Maybe I will.
All right. Something to look forward to.
Myself as well.
All right.
Where is our next question coming from?
Up toward the mezzanine.
Okay. Do you want to ask it?
Oh, there you
When preparing for your role of Data, what would you do to prepare for whenever you're going to shoot? How would you get yourself mentally prepared for your role?
Well, I like to get up and take a shower in the morning, drive to the studio, have some eggs maybe, put in those horrible contact lenses, and just let her fly. You know, I mean, the beauty of doing a character like Data, playing an android, is that I could do anything I wanted, and nobody could really say, oh, an android wouldn't do that. You know, so there was a lot of freedom in the part, and so it was a part really that mostly came from imagination. There was very little prep work. I didn't have to like go in the corner and beat myself up, and I hate my mother, I hate my father. Okay, let's go. I didn't have to.
And if you're going to play a character for as long as you did, that's kind of an ideal situation.
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, because it wasn't that stressful to play that character. I didn't have to dig deep and, you know, feel horrible at the end of every day.
So rumor has it you are a big biography reader.
I am.
And I'm curious, is there a nonfiction character that you would want to portray or even write a script about and direct?
Gosh, that's a good question. You know, I've thought about that. I just hope, you know, that there would be somebody I resembled that I could play.
Well, nowadays, you know, I mean, with makeup and technology.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, then, in that case, I want to play everyone. No, I don't know. Yeah, I guess John Wayne. Mm-hmm. I could see me as John Wayne, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
We are so much alike in so many ways. Actually, Frakes could play John Wayne. But I mean, he walks like John Wayne. You know that.
I could see that.
Yeah. But no, you know, I just hope somebody else is more imaginative than I am and comes up with something for me to play.
I'm going to work on that.
Will you?
I will. I will, definitely.
So I have a really deep question for you.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Do you ever regret leaving your recurring role on the hit show Night Court?
Yes, I do.
You know what? I was doing that show and having a really good time doing it. A woman by the name of Annie O'Donnell played my wife on the show. She was fantastic. And the last episode we did 6 episodes. The last episode, we bought the newsstand in the courthouse, and it was pretty well understood that we were coming back next season as regulars on the show. And in that hiatus, I got Star Trek, and I had to make a decision. And so I went with Star Trek. And poor Annie was out of a job, thanks to me, and she's been hunting me down ever since, I think. Well, she should.
Did Gene Roddenberry ever give you any poignant advice as an artist? So many people wonder what he was like and never got a chance to meet him, obviously.
Well, just about Data, he said to me, what I want from Data, this is from the beginning, is that he starts as a blank tablet and gets closer and closer and closer to humanity. And at the end of 7 years, he's as close as you can be and still not. And I think that's kind of where they went with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, right here.
Was it difficult working with a cat on set?
You know, that cat was the worst actor I've ever worked with. I mean, seriously, it could not take direction at all. And I dreaded working with the cat. There were 3 cats, actually. Monster was the name of one of them. Brandy, Monster, and something else. But, you know, the writers took great joy in writing things that the cat couldn't possibly do. So there was one bit of direction they wrote one time. The cat was able to do it on the first take. It said, Data feeds the cat tuna in a can. And cat got it right. I don't want to confuse this, though, by the way, with the sort of rumor that's been going around all these years that I hate cats. That's not true at all. I love cats. I happen to have a dog. I've always been a dog person. But cats are wonderful creatures. And as a matter of fact, there's a law being introduced into, I think New York, a senator from New York is trying to introduce a bill into law that I did a PSA for that prohibits the removal of claws from cats. And I really feel that's important, and I think any animal, if you need to alter the animal, I never understood cutting tails off of dogs so they look cute, or cutting their ears. So basically, I have a statement in this PSA where I say something to the effect that if you don't like animals the way nature designed them, maybe you shouldn't have a pet. And anyway. But that being said, I never want to work with Spot again.
You're good. Yes, over here. Hi.
Hi, I was just wondering, in any roles that you've done, stage or Star Trek or whatever, if there is any moments that you consider the funniest thing that's happened to you while working.
Funny stories, pranks.
No, nothing funny's ever happened. You know what, in fact, we were not a particularly practical, jokey group. We really weren't. Everybody was witty and funny and great to, fun to be around, but we didn't really pull pranks on each other. You know what, I can't think of anything funny that ever happened on a film set that I worked on. I'm not that great. I'll probably walk out of here and I'll go, oh, gosh. But right now I can't think of anything.
You can tweet it out when
I
you
will.
think it.
I will.
But I would imagine with the series, there's such a schedule that you have to adhere to, and there's so much, involvement from different departments and money on the line that,
you can only fool around so much.
You can only fool around so much.
You know, I'll tell this really quickly that early on in the first season, Patrick was still British then, and so he was really serious, and he was the only one of us who was kind of like, you know, didn't fool around much. But we were loud. We were really loud, and we used to get so raucous that and it used to go longer and longer. Usually they say, okay, we have speed. Sound would say, camera says rolling, and the director, and action. We would stop clowning around at we have speed until a few weeks in, and then it was at rolling, and then finally it wasn't until they said action, and we would snap. And but we had a director early on in the first season who said, I can't come back. I don't want to come back. These people are out of control. They're too loud. And so a producer, Rick Berman, came down to the set. He called us all into a room, into the captain's ready room. And we all went in, and he said, you know, that this director had threatened to leave and that he was really upset. And Patrick said, this is appalling. I'm disgusted with all of you. We're here to work. And this was the episode, by the way, where Denise met her, the Metamucil, or whatever it was. And there was a scene at the end of the episode where we're all on the hilltop and we're remembering Tasha, and the captain gives a speech. And he was the first one up there, and there he is, like, whirling around, going, "The hills are alive." And, but, so it was after that moment, actually, that he became one of us, and then he was as bad as the rest of us for the rest of the series.
The Brits are often worse.
Oh,
so.
I know.
So Data's generally, you know, a good character. How is it to play?
Generally.
Generally, yeah. How is it to play an evil mastermind like in Leverage or Master of Disguise?
Well, the classic Master of Disguise, I like to call it. You know what I do every time somebody asks me what film do you think has gotten a raw deal that deserves space? I'm so proud of Master of Disguise because it is so bad. I'm a huge Jack Benny fan, and Jack Benny had a movie in his oeuvre called The Horn Blows at Midnight that he always used as a joke because it did so poorly and was so badly received. And I feel like Master of Disguise is my Horn Blows at Midnight. And but I'm playing a character right now, and I'm glad you asked this question because I just want to wrap it up and be able to pitch this really quickly and promote it. I'm doing a show called Outcast on Cinemax.
Which, if you guys haven't checked out, it's phenomenal. Really.
It's a really cool show. It's created by Robert Kirkman, who created Walking Dead. And I'm kind of a mysterious character for the first few episodes, and then you find out who I am. It's really fun, and it's fun playing evil. Because it's... What's that?
You play good bad guys.
Well, that's because that's who I am. Thank you.
I don't believe that for a second. What do you geek out about? We know you love biographies and history, but what are some of your other passions? What do you do to relax in your spare time?
Well, I stopped relaxing. I really need to do that. Because I've been really busy lately, thank goodness. I mean, you know, we love to be busy. And busy's good. But I have a son. I have a 13-year-old son. So I geek out by hanging out with him. And that's the best gift of all, right?
Well, happy early Father's Day.
Thank you.
From all of us. And thank you so much, Mr. Brent Spiner.
Thank you all. Thank you, Claire.